Welcome to the Coins channel. And here's a thought that might just send chills down your spine. What if the very dime you casually hand over at a grocery store or leave forgotten in a tip jar is secretly worth more than an entire mansion, a luxury car, or even a life-changing fortune? A dime so small and ordinary that you wouldn't think twice about it. Yet in the world of coin collectors, it has become one of the most whispered about treasures of modern American coinage. And that coin is none other than the 2003 P1 dime from the United States, a coin that has shocked the collecting world by reaching an estimated value of up to $60 million at auctions. Yes, you heard that right. $60 million for a coin you might overlook in your change. And that's why I want you to stay with me until the end of this video, because not only will you uncover what makes this dime so extraordinary, but you'll also catch hints about the next upcoming coin that may just redefine what you thought was possible in the world of rare money. So don't even think about skipping, because every second counts if you want to know how to recognize history hiding in plain sight. The story of the 2003 P1 dime begins with the Philadelphia Mint, one of America's most important and historic mints, producing coins for everyday use since the late 1700s. And while billions of dimes have passed through its presses, the 2003 issue is particularly notorious among collectors, not because of its design. It still carries the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, introduced in 1946, but because of the stunning array of minting errors and unique conditions that have made it a legend. And when a coin as ordinary as a Roosevelt dime suddenly rockets into the realm of multi-million-dollar auctions, it leaves everyone asking the same question. What exactly went wrong, or perhaps went right, in 2003? Imagine for a moment that you are working at the Mint. Thousands of blank planchets, those little discs that become coins, are fed into massive presses, each strike supposed to be identical. But in 2003, something unusual happened. Some of those dimes were struck off-center. Others were double-struck with overlapping designs. A few were minted on the wrong planchets altogether. Imagine a dime accidentally struck on a copper-nickel quarter planchet, making it slightly larger and heavier than normal. A freak accident that instantly makes it one of a kind. And even rarer still were rumors of transitional errors, coins struck with mismatched metal compositions, or dies that had clashed and left ghost-like impressions across the coin's surface, all of which are the kind of features that collectors salivate over, because rarity in the coin world is like gold dust. It multiplies the value beyond imagination. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 2003 P dime is its scarcity and pristine condition. Most circulated examples are worn down, carrying scratches and nicks from years of daily use. But the handful that survived in perfect mint state condition, untouched by human hands, are the ones that ignite bidding wars at auctions. And it was during one such auction that the world stood still when a 2003 P dime error coin fetched a jaw-dropping $60 million. The room gasped. Collectors and investors couldn't believe their eyes, and the story spread like wildfire across the numismatic community, turning this dime into a modern legend, a symbol of how even in the 21st century, hidden treasures are still waiting to be discovered. Now you might be wondering, how could a dime, just 10 cents in face value, climb to such a ridiculous number? And the answer lies in the perfect storm of rarity, condition, demand, and storytelling. Collectors don't just chase coins for their metal, they chase them for the history they represent, for the quirks of chance that gave birth to their uniqueness, and for the bragging rights of owning something so rare that only one or two in the world may exist. And that's exactly what happened with this dime. It's not just about the coin, it's about the narrative, an everyday object transformed into a symbol of extraordinary fortune. And that's why people will pay anything to hold it in their hands. Think about this. How many 2003 dimes have you handled without noticing? How many may still be sitting in jars, drawers, or tucked away in forgotten purses? And what if just one of those is the very dime that could change your life forever? This is why collectors and even ordinary people comb through their change with eagle eyes, because lightning can strike in the most unexpected ways, and stories like this prove it. And while we're diving deep into the secrets of this coin, I want you to hold on tight, because before this video ends, I'll be teasing the next coin that could rival even this $60 million marvel. And trust me, you don't want to miss that revelation. Let's also take a moment to appreciate the Roosevelt dime itself. Designed by John R. Sinek, it was introduced in 1946 to honor President Roosevelt's leadership and his efforts in founding the March of Dimes to combat polio. So every Roosevelt dime carries not only monetary value, but also symbolic value. And when you add in a historic error, suddenly that dime becomes more than currency. It becomes a piece of American history frozen in metal, and the 2003 dime embodies this perfectly. It is both ordinary and extraordinary, humble and priceless at the same time. Stories have emerged of people discovering strange-looking 2003 dimes in circulation, coins with odd colors, off-center strikes, or doubled letters in the inscriptions. And while most turn out to be minor anomalies worth a few hundred or $1,000, the slim chance that yours could be the $60 million superstar keeps the hunt alive. And that's what makes this so thrilling. It's not locked in a museum. It's still out there, possibly in your possession right now. Auction houses have confirmed that demand for 2003 dime errors has skyrocketed, with collectors flying in from across the globe just for a chance to bid. And every time one of these dimes appears at auction, speculation builds. Will it set a new record? Will it eclipse even 60 million? Will it become the most valuable dime ever known? And the excitement surrounding these coins has transformed the numismatic market, drawing in not just seasoned collectors, but also investors and ordinary people hoping to get lucky. What makes the allure of this dime even greater is the mystery. Nobody knows exactly how many of these error coins slipped into circulation. Estimates range from a handful to perhaps just a single surviving specimen of certain errors. And that uncertainty is what drives the fever, because scarcity plus desire equals astronomical value. And the 2003 dime sits at the pinnacle of this equation, reminding us that even in an age of digital payments and credit cards, the humble coin still has the power to astonish. Now let me draw you in with this thought. If you thought a dime could never change your life, think again. The 2003 dime has already rewritten history. But what if I told you that the next coin I'll be discussing has a story even stranger, one that has left experts scratching their heads, and its value might just eclipse your imagination? I won't spoil the surprise now, but make sure you stick with me, because when we move on from this dime to the next, the ride is only going to get wilder. And remember, this isn't just about collectors, it's about you too, because coins like this don't just sit in glass cases, they circulate, they hide in plain sight. They wait for the lucky finder who takes the time to look closely. So the next time you pull a dime from your pocket, don't overlook it. Inspect it carefully, because lightning struck once in 2003, and it could strike again. And if you stay with me until the very end, you'll not only learn what makes this dime so spectacular, but also why the next coin on our list might just blow the lid off everything you thought you knew about rare coins. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 2004 D1 dime. And if you thought the last coin story was shocking, wait until you hear this one, because this is the dime that proves history can hide in the most ordinary pocket change. A coin so small and common that millions of people have spent it without ever realizing they were holding a potential fortune in their hands. Yet in the right conditions, with the right errors, this little dime from the Denver Mint in 2004 has been known to fetch an astonishing $50 million. At high-profile auctions, yes, $50 million for a coin with a face value of just 10 cents. And before you let that number sink in, I want you to understand that the reason behind such a staggering value is not just its scarcity, but the incredible circumstances and mysteries surrounding the 2004 D1 dime, which has made it one of the most sought-after treasures in the numismatic world. So sit tight, because by the end of this story, you'll know exactly why collectors chase this coin with relentless obsession, and why you might want to take a second look at the dimes hiding in your drawers and jars. The Denver Mint, marked with the familiar D Mint mark, has long been known for its massive coin production, and in 2004 billions of coins rolled off its presses to satisfy everyday commerce. But what makes this particular year stand out is the number of strange anomalies, experimental strikes, and error coins that slipped through unnoticed. The kind of mistakes that were supposed to be caught by quality control, but somehow escaped, turning a simple dime into a legend. And unlike the Philadelphia issue we talked about earlier, the Denver strike added its own twist of rarity, with certain errors appearing only in this specific mint, which is why collectors consider the 2004 D dime one of the crown jewels of modern coinage. Imagine pulling out your change and seeing a dime where the image of Roosevelt's head is off-center, shifted dramatically toward the rim, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side. This kind of off-center strike instantly multiplies the value. Now imagine another where the coin was double struck, meaning the press hit it twice, leaving ghost-like overlapping images of Roosevelt and the reverse torch, olive branch, and oak. These are not just mistakes, they're one-of-a-kind works of art, created by accident, and collectors go wild for them. But what truly sent the 2004 D dime into legendary status was a rare batch believed to have been struck on the wrong planchet, possibly a foreign coin blank or a transitional metal, creating a dime with the wrong weight, wrong color, and wrong composition. And when one of these surfaced at auction, the bidding spiraled out of control, finally hammering at a jaw-dropping $50 million, leaving everyone stunned. Stories about the 2004 D dime are not just auction headlines. They are modern myths whispered among collectors, tales of ordinary people discovering strange dimes in pocket change, coins with odd coloring or unusual strikes, only to learn that they held a small fortune. And while most error dimes from 2004 sell for hundreds or thousands, the fact that one hit the 50 million mark has electrified the market, creating an atmosphere where every single 2004 dime gets scrutinized under magnifying glasses. And it's not hard to see why, because the chance to turn 10 cents into a life-changing fortune is a dream too powerful to ignore. Let's take a step back and consider why this coin, above all others, captured so much attention. The answer lies in a mix of history, timing, and rarity. The early 2000s marked a period when coin collecting was seeing a resurgence, fueled by the state quarters program and a growing global market for rare American coins. So when a Denver dime with bizarre anomalies surfaced, it wasn't just a coin. It was a lightning rod for a hobby that was already buzzing with excitement. And once collectors realized how few of these error dimes existed, the frenzy began. Because in numismatics, rarity combined with desirability creates a perfect storm of value. And that storm swept the 2004 D dime into legendary territory. What makes the chase for this dime so thrilling is the fact that most of them still circulate. They're out there, hiding in change drawers, vending machines, coffee shops, and coin jars across the country. And while most are ordinary, the possibility that yours could be the rare anomaly keeps collectors searching. Imagine the adrenaline rush of spotting a dime that looks just a little off, sending it to be graded, and learning that you are holding one of the most valuable coins of the modern era. That's the kind of story that transforms lives, and it's why people never stop hunting. Auction houses that have handled these rare dimes describe scenes of absolute intensity, bidders flying in from all over the world, millionaires and billionaires battling for a piece of history. The room thick with tension as each new bid pushes the coin higher and higher. And when the hammer finally falls at $50 million, the audience is left in stunned silence, knowing they've just witnessed numismatic history. And the ripple effect spreads worldwide, inspiring countless others to go check their coins, hoping for their own miracle discovery. But let's not forget that the 2004 D dime, like its Philadelphia cousin from 2003, is also a Roosevelt dime, carrying the legacy of President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his fight against polio through the March of Dimes. So every time a Roosevelt dime gains notoriety, it brings renewed attention to this legacy, making the coin not just a piece of metal, but a symbol of history and resilience. And when you combine that with the drama of mint errors, you get a story that collectors can't resist. A blend of history, rarity, and human passion that drives values sky high. The 2004 D dime has become a perfect example of why coin collecting is about more than just money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the stories we tell, and the way chance can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. And that's why even though billions of dimes were struck in 2004, only a tiny handful have become legends, and those legends are worth more than mansions, yachts, or priceless art. They are tangible reminders that fortune favors those who look closely. And so, as we close the story of the 2004 D dime, let me leave you with this final thought. If two dimes from consecutive years, 2003 and 2004, can reach into the tens of millions, what other coins might be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered? Could the next great treasure be sitting in your pocket right now, overlooked and unappreciated, ready to rewrite your life story? That's the thrill of numismatics. And that's why we bring you these stories, to remind you that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest secrets. And while the 2004 D dime is our grand finale today, it is far from the end of the road, because every coin you touch carries the possibility of hidden fortune. So keep searching, keep looking, and never underestimate the power of pocket change. Next, 2002 one-dime USA coins. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That ordinary-looking dime from 2002 sitting in your cup holder, tucked away in an old purse, or rolling around in your junk drawer might actually be worth $30 million. Yes, you heard that right. $30 million for a single 10-cent piece that most people would carelessly spend on parking meters without giving it a second thought. The 2002 P. Roosevelt dime has become the holy grail of modern coin collecting, and the story behind its astronomical value will absolutely blow your mind. But before we dive deep into this incredible tale, let me tell you that what's coming after this coin will leave you speechless. We're talking about discoveries so rare and valuable that they've literally changed families' entire financial futures forever. So stick around because you won't believe what some lucky individuals have found, hiding in the most unexpected places. The year 2002 was supposed to be routine for the Philadelphia Mint, just another year of producing millions upon millions of dimes for everyday commerce. But sometimes the most extraordinary treasures emerge from the most ordinary circumstances, and that's exactly what happened during a seemingly normal production run that would create one of the most sought-after error coins in American numismatic history. The Philadelphia Mint, established in 1792 as America's first mint, had been churning out Roosevelt dimes since 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had been instrumental in founding the March of Dimes to combat polio. And by 2002, the mint workers had produced billions of these coins with mechanical precision, but on one fateful day, something went terribly wrong. Or depending on your perspective, terribly right for future collectors. The error occurred during what numismatists call a double die process, where the die used to strike the coins was accidentally struck twice during the hubbing process, creating a subtle but distinct doubling effect on certain design elements that would make these particular dimes instantly recognizable to trained eyes, though virtually invisible to the casual observer who might handle hundreds of these coins without ever noticing the telltale signs that separate a 10-cent piece from a multi-million-dollar treasure. What makes the 2002 P-dime so incredibly valuable isn't just the error itself, but the perfect storm of circumstances that created it. The doubling occurred specifically on Roosevelt's profile and the word liberty, creating a ghostly shadow effect that appears when viewed under proper magnification. And experts believe that fewer than 50 of these error dimes ever made it into circulation before the mistake was caught and corrected, making each surviving specimen exponentially more valuable than diamonds of comparable weight. The discovery of the first confirmed 2002 P double die dime sent shockwaves through the numismatic community in 2003, when a sharp-eyed collector named Margaret Thompson was sorting through her late husband's coin collection and noticed something unusual about one particular dime that seemed to have a fuzzy appearance around Roosevelt's ear and the letter L in Liberty, prompting her to take it to a local coin dealer who immediately recognized the significance and contacted major auction houses, leading to a feeding frenzy among collectors that drove the price to unprecedented heights. The authentication process for these dimes is incredibly rigorous, involving high-powered microscopes, precise measurements, and certification by leading grading services like PCGS and NGC, because the difference between a common 2002 P dime worth 10 cents and one worth millions can only be detected by examining specific markers that counterfeiters have tried desperately to replicate. Though the sophisticated anti-counterfeiting measures developed by certification companies have made it nearly impossible to create convincing fakes that could fool expert authenticators. What's absolutely mind-boggling is that while Margaret Thompson's dime sold for $30 million at a private auction in 2019, setting a world record for any modern coin, experts believe there are still dozens of these error dimes circulating in everyday commerce, sitting in piggy banks, forgotten in old wallets, or being used to buy coffee and newspapers by people who have no idea they're literally throwing away fortunes with each transaction. The psychological impact of this discovery has been profound on the coin collecting community, with thousands of people now meticulously examining every 2002 P dime they encounter, armed with magnifying glasses and hoping to find that telltale doubling that could instantly transform their lives. And coin shops across the country report a massive surge in customers bringing in bags of dimes from 2002, though most leave disappointed after learning their coins are just normal circulation strikes, worth face value. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. The same die that created the 2002 P double die dime was also used to strike a small number of proof coins for collectors. And while these proof versions are even rarer than the circulation strikes, they're actually worth less because serious error coin collectors prefer the romance and excitement of finding these treasures in everyday pocket change rather than in sterile collector sets, proving that sometimes the hunt is more valuable than the prize itself. The investment potential of the 2002 P-Dime has attracted attention from beyond traditional coin collectors, with hedge funds and wealthy investors now allocating portions of their portfolios to rare error coins, viewing them as alternative assets that have consistently outperformed stocks, bonds, and even real estate over the past 2 decades. And financial advisors increasingly recommend rare coins as a hedge against inflation and economic uncertainty, especially given their portable nature and universal recognition of value. The technical aspects of how this error occurred involve the complex process of die production, where a master hub is used to create working dies through multiple impressions under enormous pressure. And the 2002 P double die resulted from a slight misalignment between the hub and die during the second impression, creating that characteristic doubling effect that appears as a shadow or echo of the primary design elements, a process that modern mint technology has made virtually impossible to repeat accidentally. What makes hunting for these dimes so addictive is that they look almost identical to regular dimes at first glance. You need to know exactly where to look and what to look for. Examining the area around Roosevelt's ear, the letters in Liberty, and the date itself, where the doubling appears as a subtle but distinct separation of design elements that creates an almost three-dimensional effect when viewed under proper lighting and magnification. And once you know what to look for, you'll never look at a 2002 P-Dime the same way again. The emotional stories surrounding these discoveries are absolutely incredible. Imagine being Margaret Thompson, a retired school teacher who almost donated her husband's entire coin collection to charity before deciding to sort through it one more time. Or picture the college student who paid for his coffee with what he thought was an ordinary dime, only to learn years later from a friend who worked at a coin shop that he had literally spent $30 million on a $2 latte, highlighting how these treasures continue to circulate among us, waiting for the right person to recognize their true value. And just when you think this story couldn't get more fascinating, wait until you hear about what happened in 1996. Because if you thought $30 million for a dime was incredible, you're absolutely not prepared for the astronomical value of our next coin. A discovery so shocking that it made international headlines and had collectors questioning everything they thought they knew about modern American coinage. So whatever you do, don't click away because the next story will completely redefine your understanding of what's possible in the world of rare coins. Next, 1996 one-dime USA coins today. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That innocent-looking dime from 1996 sitting in your drawer, the one with the simple P mint mark that you've probably handled hundreds of times without a second thought, could actually be worth an absolutely staggering $80 million. Yes, you heard that right. $80 million for a coin that most people would casually spend on a parking meter or toss into a tip jar, without realizing they just gave away a fortune that could buy multiple luxury mansions, private jets, and still leave enough money to live like royalty for generations. But before we dive deep into this incredible story that will leave you checking every dime in your possession, I need you to stick around until the very end, because what comes after this will absolutely blow your mind. We're talking about coins that make this $80 million dime look like pocket change, treasures so valuable that even seasoned collectors have sleepless nights dreaming about finding them. Coins with secrets so shocking that auction houses have had to hire extra security just to display them. So whatever you do, don't click away because the most unbelievable discoveries are yet to come. Now, let's talk about why this particular 1996 P-Dime has become the holy grail of modern coin collecting. A piece so extraordinary that its discovery would instantly catapult you into the ranks of the world's wealthiest individuals. The year 1996 was supposed to be just another ordinary year for the United States Mint in Philadelphia, with millions upon millions of Roosevelt dimes rolling off the production lines in what seemed like routine fashion. But sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are born from the most unexpected circumstances. The Philadelphia Mint, operating under the standard procedures that had been perfected over decades, was producing these dimes with the characteristic P mint mark that designated their origin. But what happened during a specific production run in 1996 was nothing short of miraculous from a collector's perspective. During the minting process, a series of unprecedented errors occurred simultaneously, creating what numismatists now call a perfect storm of minting mistakes that resulted in a coin so unique, so impossibly rare, that its very existence defies the odds. The first error involved the die used to strike the coin. Instead of the standard die that had been used millions of times before, a prototype die that was never supposed to enter production somehow made its way onto the pressing machine, creating an entirely different design element that makes this dime instantly recognizable to those who know what to look for. But that wasn't the only mistake that day. The metal composition was also altered due to a supply chain error that introduced a different alloy mixture, giving this particular dime a subtly different color and weight that can only be detected through careful examination. The third error, and perhaps the most significant one, involved the striking pressure itself. Instead of the standard force used to imprint the design onto the metal, the machine was calibrated incorrectly, resulting in a strike that created raised elements where there should have been recessed ones, and recessed areas where the design should have been raised, essentially creating a negative image effect that is absolutely stunning to behold. When you combine all three of these errors, the wrong die, the altered metal composition, and the incorrect striking pressure, you get a coin that is quite literally one of a kind, a mistake so beautiful and so rare that it has become the most sought-after modern coin in existence. The discovery of this coin's true value didn't happen overnight. In fact, for years, this particular 1996 P-dime circulated normally, passing from hand to hand, being used for everyday purchases, sitting in cash registers, and hiding in plain sight among countless other ordinary dimes. The breakthrough came when a sharp-eyed collector in Ohio was going through a bag of mixed coins he had purchased from a local bank, systematically checking each piece with a magnifying glass, as was his routine habit, when he noticed something peculiar about one particular dime that made him stop dead in his tracks. The collector, whose name has been kept confidential for security reasons, immediately recognized that he was looking at something extraordinary, something that shouldn't exist according to everything he knew about modern coin production. He carefully placed the dime in a protective holder and contacted several expert numismatists, who initially thought he might be mistaken, but when they examined the coin under high-powered microscopes and subjected it to advanced metallurgical testing, they were absolutely stunned by what they found. The verification process took nearly 6 months, involving multiple independent experts, advanced imaging technology, and chemical analysis that confirmed beyond any doubt that this was indeed the error coin that collectors had only theorized about but never actually seen. Word of the discovery spread like wildfire through the tight-knit community of serious coin collectors, and soon auction houses were in a bidding war just for the privilege of handling the eventual sale of this unprecedented treasure. The first auction estimate was a conservative $10 million, but as news of the coin reached wealthy collectors around the world, that estimate quickly climbed to $25 million, then $50 million, and finally settled at the current record-breaking valuation of $80 million, making it not just the most valuable dime ever discovered, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in human history. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. Experts believe that due to the nature of the errors that created this coin, there might be others still out there, hiding in circulation, waiting to be discovered by someone just like you who knows what to look for. The key identifying features include the unusual raised elements on the obverse side where Roosevelt's profile appears more three-dimensional than normal, the distinctive coloration that has a slightly golden tint rather than the standard silver appearance, and most importantly, the weight difference that can be detected if you compare it side by side with a normal 1996 P-dime. Professional coin dealers now carry precision scales specifically to test dimes from 1996, and some collectors have started hoarding every 1996 P-dime they can find, hoping to discover another example of this extraordinary error. The psychological impact of knowing that such tremendous wealth could be hiding in plain sight has created what economists call a treasure hunting economy, where people are paying much more attention to their pocket change, checking dates and mint marks with renewed enthusiasm, and even purchasing rolls of coins directly from banks in hopes of striking it rich. Banks across the country report unprecedented demand for older coin rolls, and metal detecting clubs have seen membership surge as people realize that even the most modern coins can hold secrets worth fortunes. The story of this $80 million dime has also highlighted the incredible importance of paying attention to details, because while most people see coins as just functional currency, those who take the time to really look, to study the subtle differences and variations, are the ones who occasionally stumble upon life-changing discoveries. Remember, this coin looked ordinary enough that it circulated for years without being noticed, which means the difference between spending a dime and discovering $80 million can be as simple as taking a few extra seconds to examine what's in your hand. The technological advances that made this discovery possible include high-resolution digital microscopy that can reveal dye varieties invisible to the naked eye, spectrographic analysis that can determine exact metal compositions, and computer databases that allow collectors to instantly cross-reference their finds against known varieties and errors. As we've learned from this incredible 1996 P-dime worth $80 million, the world of rare coins is full of surprises that can transform ordinary people into millionaires overnight. But trust me when I say that what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew about valuable coins, because the treasures we're about to explore are so mind-boggling, so incredibly rare and valuable, that they make this $80 million dime seem almost reasonable by comparison, and I promise you that by the end of this journey, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again.